Welcome back to FMTV. So, in today's story we're going to look at the African Zulu and their creation story. It's quite comical, in fact. So, let's take a look at their account with the extraterrestrial visitors they called the Chitauri.
At one time, people could not see the stars. People only saw the trees growing. There was no desert at that time, only lush jungle wherever you went. At this time, humans were both male and female in one body. And out of the sky one day came terrible objects, bigger than the largest mountains. They came out of the sky bringing great noise, black smoke and fire with them. At this time, humans could not speak. They had no gift of language at this time. However, they had great mental powers. A man could go out into the bush and using his mental power he could call out an animal which he wanted for his family. The animal would appear and kneel down before the man, and he would kill it and take it home. When the Chitauri arrived in Africa, they told our people they were gods. They said they were going to give us great gifts under one condition. We had to worship them and accept them as our creators. Then they created a strange pair of caves in the land. They dug two caves in which one contained a green light and the other a red light. The Chitauri then drove us into these caves. Each one had to choose which cave to enter. Those who went into the green cave came out as women, and those who went into the red cave came out as men. And that man saw the women and hated her, for the strange lumps on her chest he did not understand. When the women saw the men, she hated him, because what they saw were strange snakes between the legs of the men. Then the Chitauri laughed like it was a big joke. Then they said, "If you serve us, you wretched humans, we will make you into gods." The humans then agreed to worship the Chitauri. Then they gave the humans their second gift. This was the gift of language. People started to speak with their tongue where they had used their mind before. This started a great disturbance. One man did not understand the next man's language. When they spoke to each other, one would think the other was insulting him. When our people were given language, they found, to their horror, they had lost much of their mental powers. They had paid a terrible price. The Chitauri were now the masters of humans. They made them go into the holes in the ground and mine metals, mostly gold, copper, tin, and all sorts of other materials. The people were very unhappy because they could not cope with the sexual difference between men and women. Then from the Chitauri came a female. She was the senior wife of the terrible chief. This reptile lady felt sorry for humans. She said to the people, "You are unhappy." And the people said, "Yes, great one, we go into the caves every day to mine to bring to the gods, but we are not happy." She then taught the men and the women how to make love. She said, "We have divided you into males and females, but this action will bring you together." It did not work, however. Men started to get bored with their wives and started to steal other men's wives. The Chitauri chief was very upset at what his wife had done. She said she would make them stop by making the females become pregnant after they made love, so that the men would go back to the mines. Then all the women in the land were pregnant. The chief was furious at this also. The wife of the chief then activated a black hero. This hero would challenge the chief to a fight. During the fight, the black hero cut off his penis of the chief. This caused a big war. The hero escaped but was later arrested and brought to the chief's village. The chief said to him, "You have cut off my penis and I have replaced it with one made of gold, but I cannot make love to my wife anymore." Then he stuck his claw through the man's nostril and he drank his brain. Some people say these creatures are gods and they are experimenting on us, but this is not true. The Chitauri feed on the energy that we give them. They make us fight against each other, and when the whole world is drowning in death, fear and terror, the Chitauri get fed by the dark power which is brought out when humans destroy the planet on which they live. They are fed when human minds think at certain levels. What most people call the grey aliens are actually the servants of the Chitauri. They are actually their offspring. The Chitauri males mated with female humans and made a race of king and queens. The word Zulu has the meaning of interplanetary space. The word also has to do with travel. The Zulus knew the Earth was a sphere and that all the planets travelled around the Sun. The Zulu word for Earth means spherical object. They also knew space and time were the same thing. Our ancestors then were 20% smarter than we are now. The Chitauri are said to come from the constellation of Orion. Orion means the large gods that came to Earth to create original humans. The first race was so stupid they buried them alive. We are descendants from the second group of human beings which were created clever. The Zulus say there are two universes living side by side, a male universe and a female universe. South African-based Zulu shaman Credo Mutwa, who can be found on Wikipedia, confirms the story of the Chitauri, reptilians in Africa. Having travelled throughout the world, Mutwa says that the legends of the interactions of humans and reptilians are common knowledge in Australia, among the Aborigines, the cultures of Japan and Taiwan, as well as indigenous Native American people, like the Mayans and the Hopi Indians. Now it seems that only the Western civilization authorities officially deny the existence of these creatures. In an interview, Credo Mutwa explains the manipulation of life on Earth by these negative entities. Our people believe that we, the people of this Earth, are not masters of our own lives, although we are made to think we are. Referring to the reptilian race, he says they are called Chitauri, which means the dictators and the ones who tell us the law. In other words, they tell us secretly what we are to do.
This then is the essence of history disguised as mythology and science fiction.
Credo then confirms these so-called gods were like human beings but very tall with a long tail and with terrible burning eyes. Mutwa continues describing the real-life version of a horror movie. Some of them have yellow bright eyes, some had three eyes, the red round eye being in the centre of the forehead. The Zulu shaman then describes the Darth Maul character in the Star Wars movie, which shows a character exactly like a Chitauri, with horns all around its head. Mutwa's insights into human-reptilian interactions are credible because they explain the otherwise unexplainable behaviour of warmongers, politicians, corporate chiefs and others who are placeholders in the Illuminati control system on Earth. One other thing that our people say is that the Chitauri prey upon us like vultures. They raise some of us, they fill us with some great anger and great ambition, and then they make these people they've raised into great warriors who make terrible war. But in the end, the Chitauri do not allow these great leaders, these great chiefs and kings, to die peacefully. Explaining why the spiritual evolution of humanity has been stifled, Mutwa continues. These creatures then took away the great powers that human beings had, the power of speaking through the mind only, the power of moving objects with their mind only, the power of seeing into the future and into the past, and the power to travel spiritually to different worlds. There are such creatures, and the sooner skeptics among us face up to the fact, the better it shall be. Why is humankind not progressing? Why are we running around in a great circle of self-destruction? Despite the harsh reality he describes, Mutwa says, there is hope. First of all, there is a God above us, and this God is more real than most of us believe. God is not a figment of someone's imagination. God is not something dreamt up by old men in prehistoric times. God exists, but standing between us and God are creatures who claim to be gods, and these creatures we must get rid of in order to get closer to God.
Well, that was an interesting account from the African Zulu perspective. Nevertheless, the Chitauri, according to Mr. Credo Mutwa, is poignant, scary, and apparently ongoing, which is a bit. So thereupon, folks, we are presently looking at an alien force in our waters. So join me in the next episode of FMTV when we will look at the American Indian creation story. And until then, remember, the truth will set you free.